How's everyone doing today? I'm back with part 2 of the secret stashes and escape from Tarkov. If you haven't already, I would recommend checking out part 1 of this series by clicking the info card in the top right corner. That video will have the other stashes that I have covered. Thanks to you guys, 52 new stashes have been found. I'm sure there's still even more stashes that haven't been found yet, so if you know of any that aren't in this video, please comment below and let me know. Quick shout out to you guys again for getting me to almost 100 subs. Thank you guys so much for the support on my videos. So let's get started. We drop into woods for our first 3 stashes. The first stash is in between the ZB16 bunker and the old station. Here next to this big rock is our first stash. Head to the ravine where the second tank on woods is at. Here inside the ravine, next to this bush, is a stash. Finally, head towards the road on the west side of the map. Find the bulldozer on the road, follow where I walk, and behind this bush is a stash. Taking our shopping spree over to Interchange, we have 11 new stashes. Starting over by the Emercon extract, off the road a little bit by these rocks is one of the stashes. Heading over to Power Station, standing where I am, look behind you, and next to where the yellow pipes and this box meet is a stash. Then follow my path through Power Station and then around this fence for the next stash. Now over in front of Idea, specifically inside the go-kart track, here in this bush is a stash. Then follow my path over to this area, and in this bush is another stash. Head over to the Northwest Railroad tracks, and towards the end of it by these small lakes up this hill a little bit is another stash. Then follow my path and over by this tree is a stash. Head over to the big tower with all the signs on it, the one that people usually snipe from, in front of Ultra. Over by this tree is a stash. Back behind that sign, over kind of towards the end of the highway, in between these 2 trees is a stash. Now face the wall and run left down it until you get to these 2 trees, and in between them is a stash. Keep running the way you were just running, and near the Hobo Barrel fire camp, behind this bush is the final stash. Moving over to customs, we have 12 new stash locations. Starting off, we head to the pipes next to the river. Right next to this pipe is a stash. The other pipe also has a stash next to it, which has been shown in part 1. Moving over to the bus depot, go to the back and follow my path. After a little bit, you'll find this stash. Then head to the pipe in front of bus depot, and inside this tire is a stash. Now we are over at the railroad tracks. Next to one of the posts holding up this thingy is a stash. Then follow my path up to this power tower. And outside the fence is a stash. Heading over to the new gas station on the side with the bus that I was just looking at, there's a bush growing around the pipe. Head over to it and inside is a stash. Now head to the end of the military checkpoint road, and over by this trash can is a stash. Then follow my path up the hill. Behind this big rock, next to this bush, is a stash. Now inside the boiler area, there are these 3 pipes I'm standing on. Follow my path over to where the next stash is. The next stash is in the far southeast corner of boiler near the broken toilet. By this bush is a stash. Head down the road just a little bit, and over in this corner is a stash. Now over here next to the storage building there is a pit. Inside of this is the final stash. Over on Shoreline there are 26 new stashes. Starting off, head to the end of the railroad tracks behind the radio tower. Follow my path and you will find this stash. Now go to the radio tower, and over here in this bush is a stash. Head to the southeast UAV crash site. Follow my path, and inside this big bush is a stash. Then head back towards the crash site, and next to this broken house is another stash. Now follow my path until you see this grave. Off to the left is a stash. Over on the road to customs, find these destroyed trees across from the road to the radio tower. Over on the bank of the river, in this bush, is another stash. Head down the river a little bit to the railroad bridge outside the military base. Under this branch, on the beach, is a stash. Then follow my path up to the railroad tracks, and over here is another stash. Move west down the shoreline to the construction site. Next to this rock I was standing on is a stash. Then head over to the construction site and next to the pile of tires near a porta potty is a stash. Head over to the construction site near the cottages. Over in the far northwest corner in this bush is a stash. Now go to the ponds in front of the cottages, and over on the peninsula near this bush is a stash. Head over to the town, just off the road where the cottage safe key spawn and tank is, over this fence, and in this yard is a stash. Now head back up the road and next to this trash can is a stash. Just across from you inside this concrete cylinder is another stash. Now follow my path until you come to this dead end. Over by this bush is the next stash. Now follow my path until you get to the beginning of the swamp. Between this shed and a bush is a stash. Head down the road a bit until you get to this fence. Under the fence is a stash. Starting at this bridge, follow my path to this broken house. Inside the fence is a stash. In front of the church in the side room of this broken house is a stash. Then head towards the church, go left through the graveyard, and in the middle of the water is another stash. Head over to the suicide field where the hay bales are at. Behind a hay bale, a little bit behind the tractor, is a stash. Now over by the northwest UAV crash site behind this massive rock, follow my path until you get to this stash. Over by the rock passage extract on the west side of the river, head up the river and you will see the stash under a tree. Starting at the Rock Passage River, follow the power lines. In between these bushes is the final stash. Thank you guys so much again for everything. I'm sorry for how long this took. School and work has been a lot for me lately, but I have some breaks coming up, so I'll be able to make even more videos and stream more. Every source I use to gather this information is linked below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch and Twitter, and stay safe out there in Tarkov.